It's week 17 in the NFL, and every year that always involves a handful of games where we have a spoiler situation going. Some team playing for the playoffs, playing against another team that is out playing only for pride and maybe playing motivated to ruin the chances of the other team. We see this every year. We have a few situations like that this year, and we are going to talk with professional sports bettor Teddy Covers about how we might think about those types of situations and what his specific opinions are on certain situations that we have coming up this week. Teddy Covers, thanks for being with us. Spoilers, I guess the general wisdom is that in those situations, the pressure's on the team playing for the playoffs. The pressure is off of the team in the spoiler role, so you want to lean in general towards taking the spoiler team. Is that correct?
I mean, in general, as a basic concept, I would agree with that. Certainly when you talk about the added value and the folks that are looking for a half point here and a point there, you find those matchups in Week 17, and you find some ugly underdogs facing teams in quote-unquote must-win spots that are catching a point or two too much, and bettors absolutely get involved with some of those ugly underdogs here in Las Vegas in Week 17. And let's not forget, the dynamic of the schedule has really changed. A couple years back, the NFL made a switch for Week 17. They made all the Week 17 games divisional contests. And basically, it ended the concept of the meaningless Week 17 games, because guess what? Even the bad teams want to knock off a divisional foe, right. A rival, a team that they face twice a year, when they have the opportunity to ruin that team's playoff chances or hurt their playoff seeding or anything like that. So you do see more competitive Week 17 matchups since that scheduling dynamic was changed by the NFL just a few years ago.
Yeah, all right, so let's take one example from this week, right? The Jets at the Bills, right? The Jets are playing for their playoff lives. Bills are out of the playoffs, playing in the spoiler role, and running back Booby Dixon has already, identified this game as their Super Bowl. It's all they have to play for, and they're home dogs. So, when you look at that situation, you say, well, the Jets are a quality team. The Bills have struggled. The Jets need a win, obviously, for their lives. They're only a small road favorite. Bet them. Or do you see, the Bills as a team with nothing to lose, with one of their players named Booby Dixon calling it their Super Bowl, and you take them as a home dog?
I'm a believer in the Jets, so let me say that right from the get-go. I think the Jets have Super Bowl potential, and I don't know how many people agree with me on that, but that's not a team that I'm in any rush to fade. That being said, look, the Bills are a decent team. They're not. This isn't a Cleveland-Pittsburgh situation where you're talking about a bottom of the barrel. The Bills are a 500 caliber team. They have probably better than 500 caliber talent on that roster. Again, you talk about quarterbacks that have stats that you really surprise you. How about Tyrod Taylor being number 6 in the NFL in passer rating this year? That's a number that stands out to me. And a lot of it's just chucking it up to Sammy Watkins on these jump balls, but Sammy Watkins is coming down with those jump balls. The Bills have shown they can run the football. The Bills certainly have a potent defense. And, oh, by the way, they've already beaten the Jets once this year in Jersey. So, when the line opened, the Jets opened about a point and a half favorite, and the money poured in on New York. That's not the sharp money taking an opinion. That's the sharp money trying to get a number that's not going to be there an hour from now. Because obviously they knew the money's going to come for the Jets. The money has come for the Jets. The Jets are a full field goal as we speak. And I wouldn't be surprised at all to see all the guys that were betting New York at -1 or -1.5 coming back and taking Buffalo at +3 and then working for a side or a middle in that contest. The concept of getting the best of the number really matters. In Week 17, it might matter the most. At the current number of 3, there's no value on New York. They'll probably win this game by a field goal. If I'm playing, I could own, even though I'm a Jets supporter, I believe in the Jets. There's no way I'm going to lay 3 with New York on the road in this game.
All right, Teddy, so interesting thoughts. Are there any other Week 17 situations involving, playoff scenarios, teams either trying to make the playoffs, trying to spoil the playoffs, or even teams just playing for playoff seeding that you think might have betting value one way or another for those factors, for those reasons?
Well, I mean, 11 of the 12 playoff teams are already set. So it's a question now in the AFC whether it's going to be Pittsburgh or New York. And certainly Cleveland has a chance to play spoiler on Sunday. I'm not convinced that the Browns are capable of doing that. But when it comes to playoff seeding, there's a ton of matchups where divisional rivals have a chance to play spoiler against their opponent, whether it's Miami against New England to try to keep the Patriots out of the home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Of course, you can talk about the game between. Oh gosh, I mean there's so many of them. The one that there's another one that really stood out to me. Baltimore and Cincinnati, where
Right.
Cincy's playing for something. So there are a handful of games in which these quote unquote dead teams or bottom feeder teams can come in and kind of wreak havoc on their opponents' chances to actually reach the Super Bowl. And as we've seen year after year, and this isn't unique to the NFL either. In the NBA, we hear it all the time. In the NFL, you hear, oh, they're playing for seeding. They're going to play really hard. It's not the same motivator to play for seeding as it is to play for the playoffs.
Right.
And oftentimes you'll see teams a little bit overvalued in a must-win spot to secure a bye, even though it's not really a must-win spot for them. They're already in the postseason.
All right, Teddy Covers, thanks so much for your thoughts.